that Hamas is never able, ever again, to commit the atrocities that they committed on the 7th of October. Of Hamas terrorists that came over our borders and attacked numerous communities and killed 1,200 people on the 7th of October. War right now is actually bringing back our over 230 kidnapped hostages.
Hello and welcome. You're watching One India News. My name is Pankaj Mishra, and the developments in Israel are something that not just the country itself, but the whole world is watching. Joining me on the broadcast is Major David Baruch, IDF spokesperson, all the way from Israel. Major Baruch, thank you so much for speaking to One India. I know these are the difficult times that we are speaking in, but talking about what is making headlines as of now is the action and the probable further escalation of the situation at the Al Shifa Hospital. Could you please elaborate to our viewers what is the current scenario there as of now?
Well, hi, Punjab, and thank you again for having me on your show.
Thank you.
You know, we're now marking the 42nd day of this terrible terror attack of Hamas terrorists that came over our borders and attacked numerous communities and killed 1,200 people on the 7th of October. And it's really important for me to start our talk with that because that is the why of what's going on right now, why we are doing what we're doing right now. We're going after Hamas terrorists, and we have to make sure that Hamas is never able, ever again, to commit the atrocities that they committed on the 7th of October. And of course, our second objective of this whole war right now is actually bringing back our over 230 kidnapped hostages.
So on that front, also we have heard and we have seen Prime Minister Netanyahu to speaking in no uncertain terms and giving a clear mandate to the IDF also and to the world also that this particular action would continue until they vanquish Hamas. A lot of calls for ceasefire are also there, sir, and we see the IDF particularly has been very efficiently debunking all the misinformation that is going on. So could you please also elaborate on that, how the IDF is, as of now, progressing with vis-a-vis saving the lives of the civilians, not hitting civilian targets, and also debunking the misinformation campaign?
Well, this is surely something that we have been dealing with already for the past 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing right now is we're moving according to our plan, and that plan is aimed primarily,
Mm-hmm.
our objective is to get rid of Hamas. So when you're
Right.
doing that, we're trying to get the civilians out of the area. And we've been actually telling them, civilians, please move south of Wadi Gaza, the dry riverbed just south
Mm-hmm.
of Gaza City. And we've been telling them to do that. At first, we weren't as successful. In the
Mm-hmm.
last week or two, we've actually been very successful in moving them out. And we've been
Mm-hmm.
doing that, and we are continuing with our plan, moving with our plan, and we have now contained Hamas in the
Uh-huh.
north. We're still working against it, and
Okay.
we're moving according to plans. Now, with all this misinformation that you were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
we're a military. We're fighting against terrorists right now.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I come out with a statement, I have to make sure that that statement is 100% accurate. I don't have the luxury of telling stories that can't be proven.
Verified. Yes.
Plus, we know, and we saw it already from the first week when that projectile, that rocket that the Palestinian Islamic Jihad shot at us and actually landed next to the hospital, the Al
Mm-hmm.
Akhli hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and we very quickly, but it took us some time as well, but very quickly for a military to do this,
Yes.
we proved that we had nothing at all to do with it. Within minutes, numbers were
Absolutely.
flying out. How
Mm-hmm.
many casualties there were, how many, and they were throwing it, and the world was buying those numbers.
Right.
That actually helped us
We
because
saw,
now,
right.
yes, go on.
We saw BBC also apologizing to the IDF with regards to the same wrong reportage also.
well, not just the BBC, but we're seeing now, at least you and your colleagues around the world are questioning anything that Hamas is putting out. And they're putting it underneath now. These are Hamas given, okay, we'd like to say we should take these with a grain of salt. But you're not saying that. Not everyone is saying that, but at least everyone is understanding what the source is. And the source is a very questionable source.
Right. Indeed. Obviously, in this scenario, as I mentioned, that IDF has been efficiently and very religiously, I would say. You mentioned about that rocket misfire. Definitely, IDF was quick to produce visual proof that this is the rocket that came at around this time and then was misfired and went to that particular hospital. One quick question on the talks or the rumors, if I may say, Major, about splitting Gaza or into two or controlling Gaza. If we are capturing Gaza, what is the plan going forward? Joe Biden says it will be a mistake if Israel captures Gaza. How is this being understood?
Everything I've heard from the political side, and you'll need to speak to the politicians about that, but also us as a military, we have no aim whatsoever to control Gaza. We don't have any territorial aspirations there. We're here for two things, two reasons. One is to totally dismantle Hamas's capability of ever again committing an attack like they did on the 7th of October. And we want to bring back our hostages that were taken from us, those that were kidnapped, civilians and military. All of them have been kidnapped back, and we want them back in Israel. Now, we have no aims whatsoever, territorial aims. We're going after Hamas, and we're doing that wherever Hamas is acting.
Right. I mean, that is something that definitely clears the air. Talking about Al-Shifa Hospital once again, Hamas tunnels being found at the hospital, rocket launchers inside babies' beds. This is unprecedented. Could you please share more on that?
Unfortunately, I'm not terribly surprised by any of this as well. This is what we've known that Hamas has been doing. Now we're able to prove it to the world. We haven't taken over Al-Shifa Hospital. We've been going into specific areas based on specific intelligence. And we've gone into small areas. It's a giant compound. We've only gone into certain areas of that compound. And what we found is incredible in the sense that hospitals around the world, in India, in the States, in Europe, you're not going to find munitions, hand grenades, Kalashnikov rifles. At best, you'll find security people with personal hand weapons.
Right.
And then you're not going to find mines behind MRI machines. So they've been using this. And this is something that Hamas has been doing all along. They're hiding behind civilians. They're putting the civilians in the front and hoping that Israel will attack the civilians, because between us, it looks so much better, the imagery of dead civilians as far as Hamas is concerned. They're more interested in seeing dead civilians. We in Israel, we abhor that.
Right. Major David, you are dealing with someone, talking about Hamas. I was listening to one of their spokespersons or leaders on one of the news channels from that part of the world, only possibly from Palestine. They were saying that they are ready to do what they did on October 7th 1,000 times over again and again. This particular mindset, obviously, how does it become a bigger challenge for the IDF to tackle such hardcore terrorists?
We're fighting a physical battle against Hamas terrorism. Unfortunately, we're not able to fight, and I don't think anybody can fight an idea and an ideology. And that's the problem here, and I'm well aware of that. We're fighting a physical battle against them, and we're continuing to fight that battle in order to take away their ability to do these physical attacks. When it comes down to it, it's an educational issue. The next generation has to be educated not for war and not for hate. They need to be educated to live peacefully with us. That's the way I've educated my children. My children don't hate Arabs, don't hate Palestinians. And I would expect the next generation, this generation, they've been educated in such a way and brainwashed in such a way, and we've seen it with the clips that have come out of the people doing these attacks on the 7th of October, the glee, the joy they got when they were killing innocent civilians. So that's the crux of the problem. And so we're not going to be able to fight the ideology, but what we are fighting is their military ability to carry out attacks.
Well, I would say that's well said, because you're right. Fighting that ideology is something which has taken years to form. Nonetheless, yes, our best wishes are there to IDF, to Israel, in this fight against terrorism, in this fight against Hamas. One final question, Major David. How long do you see this conflict, this war, if I may say so, war on terror continuing in the days and months to come?
Our current fight, I don't know how long it's going to take. We're in it for the long haul. We know that we have a mission, and we have to complete that mission. That being said, and I want to leave you maybe with a little bit of a positive note as well.
Yes.
Because here we are, we're at war right now, and we're talking about war. I'm a reservist. I've got kids in the reserve as well, and I've got children at home.
Okay.
No one's interested in our side in war. And while I may be wearing a uniform right now, and I may be carrying a gun, I'm certainly dreaming of better days and times of peace. And I think that's the message that we all need.
Major David Baruch, thank you so much for speaking to Oneindia News. We really appreciate your time and patience. Also, our best wishes to you and to your family members, to your country in these testing times. Thank you so much for speaking.
Thank you.
Subscribe to Oneindia channel and never miss an update.